Hi, it's Mary Grace with Quilting Bee number 4. It's been 3 months since I last shot a video, and that's for quite a few reasons. Number 1 is so much for my list. It was number 4 on my list to do a snowflake runner for my mother's, and that's done and off to her. And there wasn't enough time to both make it and shoot a video, so she got it. And then when last I left you, I had not yet finished this quilt. And as you can see now, I've done the edging, not very well, honestly. And there is still that issue here, which I've kind of glued over, but I wanted to get it done in time to go to a quilt guild meeting, and that's where I did. And unfortunately, I discovered something that I can't unsee. I forgot to do a little embroidery right here. Oh well. And a dear friend of me got me the nose to go right here, so that's awesome. No, my string just fell off. I need to permanently affix my string so that won't happen, and I should probably take that off and sew it better so it'll be nicer for the show. But I wanted to get it done for the quilt meeting, and at the quilt meeting I did turn in the baby quilt that I've been working on. And then I picked up another quilt to work on, and that's part of the reason why I haven't shot any videos, because I haven't worked on that quilt or anything else, because I went to the 61st Annual Woodlawn Needlework Show in March, and March is tax season. So I went to the Needlework Show. Oh, remember Cat Bat was in it. I actually received several inquiries about Cat Bat that I did, and I told people where to find the pattern, because unlike a lot of the other things that were beautiful but somewhat life-taking in that you would spend years on it, you can do Cat Bat pretty quickly, so it's a nice little pattern. Anyways, while I was there, I saw an embroidered patchwork bear. I took lots of pictures. I took tons of pictures, posted on Facebook, and there was an embroidered bear, somewhat similar to this, although all pastel-y. And my sister clicked on it and said, "Ooh, if you ever want to make me something, that's it." And I'm like thinking, I've been wanting to make you something for years, but I've never known what. Now she told me. And of course, my other sister also clicked on it and said she'd like it. And they're each turning 50, because I turned 50, so they fall there by quickly afterwards. And so I started working on one for the one who's turning 50 first. So that has been taking up like all of my time. And there are tons of tutorials on how to do Rare Bear. And Rare Bear is this basic bear, only this one has joints, and Rare Bear doesn't have joints. And you give it to children who are in the hospital suffering from rare diseases, so that they can have a piece of comfort. And that's awesome. There are tons of videos on that, and even some free patterns. But that's not what I wanted to do for my sister exactly. I wanted to do this more embroidered bear. Only not this one. I picked out a different pattern because this one has joints. Not doing joints. So this is the one book. There are no tutorials. I should do a tutorial, except not. And this is why not. This is the best example of why not. Here is part 1 of, and it's going to be dog. As you can see, there's 2 layers of material here, because I didn't like the color I used here, so I picked it apart. And I just showed this to my mother-in-law to show it to her, and I said, "Yeah, it's a dog." She goes, "No, it's a duck." I had used pastel-y colors, and I knew I had used orange at the nose here, but now I can't unsee a duck. So I'm going to pick the orange material off of here and replace it with this beige material that I used for the paws, and that'll solve that problem. But this is the project I've been working on, because first I had to cut the pattern, then I had to stitch and flip the material onto here. And obviously, as you can see with both ears, I put some material on and I undid it. And in several other places, the paws, I had material here, undid it, and then fixed the paws. So I have been working on this, and I've also been going to quilt meetings. I have a quilt meeting the first of the month, and we had a quilt yard sale. And at the quilt yard sale, you could buy material by the pound and a bag of stuff for $3. So I got bag o' stuff, and the bag o' stuff I got was a bunch of lace and some ribbon and these little flower things to help with this, to put on the bear. Or actually, this was a dog. It's a rose themed dog. So I have been, and the niftiest thing is, you see the embroidery here. I'm not that good. That is an iron transfer. The iron transfer is from a book that I got in the 1980s, and the iron transfers still work. Here it is. From the 1980s, but it only works once. It's like a one and done at this point in time. I think originally it could do it more than once, but it is from the 1980s. I should be thrilled. It's just working. But so I wanted to do roses for my sister because she loves roses. So there's a rose there that I did. There's a rose in this ear that'll flop over the front. There's a rose on this ear that will flop over the front. And I put her initials there. And doing all these works. I have 2 books on different types of embroidery you can do, but there's another crazy quilt embroidery book that I really want. It has like 495 stitches. I know it's really just 50 variations of 12 stitches, but I still wouldn't mind that at all. But this has been occupying a lot of my time. And remember those buttons I took from my mother? I put the buttons on. I happened to have sequins from another project I did, but then I went and bought the Biddo beads, half price. Cracked the top already, but it's got a ton of beads, which I have been diligently using. At the same time, I've been trying not to buy things. So that's why when I got the Bago stuff, and there was more than this in the bag, from the quilt yard sale, I was really happy because it really helped me to fill in some of the pieces here and do some of the things. But I'm gonna have to unpick the face because it's not supposed to be a duck and I can't unsee it. So at the one quilt meeting where I turned in the baby blanket I had made and I picked up another blanket, it turned out to be bigger than the baby blanket I had, and I hadn't started it at all, which is another reason why I hadn't done a video, because I had nothing to report. But I did specifically work on it today so that I could do a video. That's the way it goes. So I have done, that much, plus I have a bunch of other little, I've, chained pieced them together, and I have them ready to go together. And I must have had to refix it like 4 times, because when I put my pieces, I would lay them here on my iron board. I'd put them to my sewing machine, but then they'd be in reverse order. So it's still, every time I have to lay the entire thing out to put it back together. But so I am working on a slightly bigger one than I expected for charity, because, that's part of one of the many things that the Quilt Guild does. And I like that. And I want to be a member. And the funny thing was, remember last time I was short a square? This time I have an extra square. They stick together, but I just found that rather humorous. So right now, the Quilt Guild is on summer break because they've just had their yard sale. And so I can, now that I've started, I can get it done for September, except I'm not going to make the September meeting or the October meeting. So it'll make the November meeting, and that gives me plenty of time to do it. Now, as you will recall on my list, I also mentioned something about working on the camp quilt. And so today, again, because I had the day off, and I was like, I can't make a video unless I've done some things on that list, I actually fixed the part of the quilt that had been giving me problems. The entire quilt is sewn together now. Still has some issues. This is far from a well done job because, I thought quilting, it's easy. I should have, I'm smarter than that, but apparently not. So I think now I might be ready to put the batting on this thing and put it all together. We'll see how that goes. Because as I said in my last video, I'm much more of a quilt as you go person, but that's not how this quilt was supposed to be done. And I've learned a lot since I did this quilt. I could have, start this quilt top. It's just a top right now. It actually is a complete top now. But I do hope to make it into an actual quilt. And camp is in a month. we'll see. Oh, and the Montgomery County Fair is in 2 months, which is how all these YouTubes started. So, since March, I have also gone to another judging camp. And I wound up in the weaving one. And then I went to the thrift store and they had this loom and it was only $15. I checked on Amazon and assuming all the pieces were there, that would be half price. And it had an owl that you can somehow do through tapestry weaving, which I haven't quite figured it out. Took it home, all the pieces were there, so I did good on my $15. The funniest thing was the yarn that I pulled out of it. I have some more of this yarn in a bag of yarn that I got from somebody else. So I have lots of this yarn. So I would like to try weaving. Also at the thrift store, I got some pretty stuff that I thought would look cool for weaving. I don't know how well to weave, but I thought it would look nifty. So, you know, thrift store lets you experiment with new things without spending too much money. Also, I have also been to another quilt show. And at that quilt show, I was able to get the Needles and Notion book that I wanted to get. Granted, I don't think I will ever do foundation piercing, but I might just use the shapes in here to do something with them. But I really wanted this book, and you know, for $2, I got the book. More importantly, though, at my quilt show, they were doing patterns for $1, and I got some Mary Sue patterns. I love Sue Bonnet, and I want to do a Sue Bonnet, and this one she's got wings. So I was like thinking, I can make her into a fairy. So I'm excited to use this pattern. When I ever get, you know, my dog done, I really thought I'd be sewing him together today. I did not think I'd be unpicking the nose, but he can't look like a duck. And then I've got another one to do, but I can take a break after I do this one to work on some other part of my list because my other sister doesn't turn 50 till 2026, whereas this sister turns 50 in December. And of course, you know, I want to put it in the fair in 2 months. So I've been working very diligently on this and therefore have not been doing videos. I have been not doing cross stitch videos. I'm not even sure what I have done complete for the fair. I think there are a few things I need to frame. Oh, I've been baking. So all these videos start with Montgomery County Fair, all the things I could show you. But of course, baked products are hard to show because I don't have them here. But this year, I'm going to compete in the Baker's Dozen. And I have now made about 4 things in practice with Baker's Dozen. And my theme, because you got to have a theme, is maple syrup. So I have made a maple syrup nut pie, a maple syrup nut cake, maple syrup nut cookies. You didn't know. And you can do all that with maple syrup. Do you know you can make a cheesecake? So my last bit of haul, actually, I got some new sewing related jewelry. It's this cool snap stuff. You can unsnap what it is. And I got this cute little sewing implement here. And I got one there. And I have cat things and red things I can snap and put there so that I can be all matchy. Oh, I got a t-shirt. It said, "Blessed are the quilters, for they shall be called peacemakers." And it's got flowers, and it was from my mother, and I'm very thankful for that. I love it. She supports my sewing habit. It's all her fault. She taught me how to sew. And that is my quilting update for all of you. So I did give you an update on 1, 2, 3, 4 quilted related things and some other non-things. But hopefully I will get this done for my next video and be able to show it to you. Until then, thank you for watching.